just been invaded by...
Yes.
Hey there guys, this is DJ Slope from Slope's Game Room and you're listening to Slopescast, the retro gaming news show recorded live on Twitch with my co-host Grizzly Crichton. If you like the podcast and you want to be in a chance to be on a future episode, then please do consider becoming a Patreon or YouTube member. And if you have any particular news stories that you would like us to cover in a future episode, then please do let us know in the dedicated rooms over on Discord. Plus, if you are listening to the podcast on any of the many podcast services around the world, then please do give us a little review. It really does help us spread our wings and get into the earlobes of plenty of other podcast goers. Anyway, enough of the plugs. Let's get on with the show. And there we go, guys. It is time for Slopescast. Massive shout out to Goat King, who just said that he really loves that intro. It's what got him hooked. Well, thank you so much. That's a little, for people that are interested, that's actually a little remix that I made. When I say remix, it's a very easy remix to make. Shout out to the DJ Featurecast, and who I am a patron of, actually, and he lent me the beats for that particular intro, and I just put them all together over the classic Mega CD intro. But enough about that. Let's chat about the 6 topics that we are going to be discussing today. Is that right, Grizzly? Is it 6 topics today?
It's 6, you lucky people.
Ooh, go on, talk us through. What are we going to be chatting about today, mate?
Right, so this week we have Quake returning for the first time in 25 years on console. We have the Jungle Book and a few others returning in a new, with bunny ears, Disney collection. Soulja Boy back in the headlines again. He may be the new owner of Atari, or so he thinks. And then we're going to look at some highlights from the Sonic Amateur Games Expo. We're going to talk about China's version of God of War / Sekiro with Black Myth Wukong. And going to take a little bit of a deeper look at Wata Auctions, which was exposed in a rather good YouTube video, which we're going to somewhat recommend, as well as, just touch base on this subject.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, we've got quite a few different things to be talking about, and it's quite cool. I'm looking at this and I'm seeing quite a few different varied topics, which is good. Everything from Quake to Disney. You can't really get more polar opposite than that.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the thumbnail looks particularly interesting. As Mike Towns, who was sat there watching me build it together yesterday, there's one of each possible expression on the thumbnail. That wasn't intended.
That is very true. That is very true. Yeah. And it ends with death of Mario falling into the lava lake, like he does on all those front covers of one of the most popular games of all, as in the most commercially well sold games of all time. So it's also the most expensive game of all time. But we'll get to that as and when, because right now we're going to be chatting about Quake.
Oh man, I am so happy that I get to see this thing again. So
go for it.
Yeah, Quake. It's one of those games. It's to me, I'd always call it as important, if not slightly more important than the likes of Doom, because it really did kick off how like quickly the 90s was moving in terms of graphical horsepower, in terms of the style and the speed of game that you could play. I mean, really, it was like night and day compared to the old first-person shooters with the 2D visuals in the 2D/3D corridors. So what's happened here is Night Dive Studios, MVPs yet again, have come out. I'm fairly sure it's Night Dive who worked on this one, as well as the likes of Turok and what have you. I can't confirm whether it's Night Dive. I could be completely wrong on that.
I was about to say, Night Dive, they're doing well if it's them.
Yeah, they have released a whole new campaign for Quake, so a whole new chapter of content, and they've re-released it on modern consoles, so you're getting 4K and everything like that. It's just so good. I've been playing it on Game Pass. I've been playing it on PC, because even if you've got the Steam copy, by the way, it was Night Dive. If you've got the Steam copy, you get the free upgrade.
Yes.
It's absolutely brilliant. It's probably the most consumer-friendly thing that Bethesda have done in years.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. I mean, obviously for me, I'm excited about the Switch port. And I know like Switch isn't the most like powerful system out there, especially when you're looking at all the systems it's coming out on. It's probably like the least most powerful, especially when you're playing it in handheld mode. But this is Quake. This is a 25-year-old game, and from what I've read on reviews, I haven't played this personally myself. It runs as smooth as butter. It's the definitive version to play however you decide to play it, and as you said, you've got that new campaign in there, plus all of the original DLC. Yeah, I mean,
the original Nine Inch Nails soundtrack and everything. They've given it so many quality of life features.
Oh, yes.
In terms of the way everything plays. It's by far the most definitive version of Quake there is.
Yeah.
And I'm really surprised to see it because I always thought that this was in licensing hell because of the Trent Reznor connection. But
what I will say is one thing I have seen is because I'm in a group with a few other YouTubers. We give each other advice, or when things go wrong, we give each other advice and all that sort of stuff. And I know a few people that have been streaming this game and had a few issues with it regarding the soundtrack. So that is one thing you want to be keeping an eye on. But unfortunately, these things happen. It happens all the time when these music labels, that are releasing vinyl. A lot of the time, they'll get the rights to the soundtrack, and old Let's Plays end up getting picked up. Unfortunately, it's just the sort of thing that happens. If you're going to be streaming this, you may have a few problems, but I'm sure it's probably going to get sorted. But hey, yeah, that soundtrack is pretty awesome. It's a good soundtrack.
I mean, really, honestly, though, if you were playing without the soundtrack, if you've ever played on the old console versions, you weren't getting the full soundtrack anyway, so you're not going to miss an awful lot. And it's super atmospheric.
It is.
I just love the fact that it's Quake 1 and not Quake 2 again. Quake 2 gets all of the love, whereas this, for me, is... this is Quake. This is the way it should be.
I think I played out of all, because I'm going to be honest here. Out of all of the Quake games, I think it's Quake 64 that I've played the most, because I was never the biggest first-person fan. In actual fact, when I look back, when I look back, I actually think I might have played Rise of the Triad the most, just because I had it.
Oh yeah, that's a great game though.
Yeah, I picture a time when Night Dive go and redo that. It's very possible. It's very possible. But I mean, it's a retro collection. It's done to the best of its ability. It's not an expensive game. It's a bit of a budget title, which I suppose it probably should be. Is it not?
Well, it is a budget title, and of course it's free on Game Pass, but it wouldn't be a modern id Software re-release without a limited run collector's edition.
Yes. Let's look that up, shall we? Because I did see that notification come in. Go on, you carry on.
Yeah, so limited run in their typical limited run fashion. So you can get a physical copy at $30, which is 3 times the cost of the game to buy, if you were even buying it in the first place.
Yeah.
Or you could spend 175 smackers on the limited Quake Ultimate Edition for Switch or PS4, which includes a spinning Quake logo, quad damage logo, which I will admit is kind of cool. I think there's also like a Shambler figure, metal figure as well, which is guaranteed to bother any elves on the shelf at Christmas, if it even comes out in time for Christmas, because we know what limited run can be like. But yeah, it's kind of neat. I like it. It's giving love to a game that I absolutely adore, and I'm looking forward to when they re-release Quake 2 in a similar fashion, because that's coming.
Yeah, you can get away with this because it's such a classic game. Like they've done it with Doom, they've done it with the Castlevania collection, with like these extremely high ones. I got the mid-range, as you can see, I've got it behind me actually, the Scott Pilgrim versus the World limited run one, because I just couldn't bring myself to spend, what was it, close to 200 for the ultra rare one. So these ones that have like a bit of a legacy behind them, the real classic re-releases, I mean, without even seeing it, I already pictured that this was going to happen. Obviously, Streets of Rage 4 was another one of the big ones, because that was a classic franchise brought back. But yeah, I along with Scott Pilgrim, I also got Fight and Rage, and that one didn't come for as big as a collector's set because obviously it's not as popular of a game and has got that legacy behind it. Us retro collectors, we must get the most expensive version of these ultimate games.
Yeah,
I think the funniest one was when they did Command and Conquer Collection, and it didn't include like a physical copy of the game, but it was still like crazy expensive.
Yeah, that's mad. That one.
I
think I probably would have gone for this if it was more reasonable, like in cost, because I don't think a motorized quad damage replica statue thing costs that much to make. It's certainly not $175 plus shipping and it whatever import fees it is for the UK. I know that they calculate it, but it's usually added to the cost.
Yeah.
But I will say, whichever way you support it, I think it is definitely a game worth supporting. As I say, the original Quake hasn't been around on a console or PC like re-release for 25 years, and that's significant. This is one of the best first-person shooters, in my opinion, and and without it, you wouldn't have stuff like, well, you certainly wouldn't have had it in the same form. You wouldn't have had stuff like Half-Life. So show it some respect. Yeah, for sure.
And like I say, it's yet again another classic game getting redone, but thankfully actually showing some real love with that version. It should be the ultimate definitive version, and from what I've seen in reviews, it seems to be that way. So fair play to him. Good job, Night Dive. Good job. Nothing but a good thing.
Keep doing what you do, Night Dive. Keep doing it. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, for all those people out there that love it that much, they're the nice £175 version to get.
Definitely.
Insane. Right, okay, so yeah, there we go. Moving over to topic number 2, we're going to be chatting about moving from Quake to Disney. Because there's apparently a new Disney game compilation that's coming out. And one of the supposed games that's going to be on this compilation is The Jungle Book. Now, The Jungle Book is a game that's definitely worthy of being added to a nice, good, classic Disney compilation. But the other two games are Aladdin and The Lion King. And, people that are listening, I am holding up my copy of Disney classic games, Aladdin and The Lion King, for the Switch. So, I mean, yes, I'm a absolute Disney addict. I have an enormous project that I'm slowly, very, very slowly working on in the background to do with Disney video games. So I'm going to buy this, but I'm not the the majority. I think this is a bit. If it, let's just presume it is only those 3 games because that seems to be where they're going with it. That's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, for sure. Because you're talking about like. You know what's really even more weird is that these are the same guys who came out with that Aladdin and Lion King port collection. Yeah. So they know exactly what they're doing. It's almost like every year they're going to add one more game to it and just release another cartridge. It's silly, really silly.
Because I mean, I'm looking on the back of the box. I'm trying to see a date for when this compilation came out. I think it was last year. It's not on the box. It's okay, so never mind. But it's a budget title. You're looking at about £25. One of the big things for me is I'm a huge Aladdin fan for the Mega Drive. I like Lion King as well, but Aladdin's really where it's at. And take me back to my roots, all that sort of stuff. So it was only like 25 quid or something to that effect. I've just looked inside and realised I've got the American version for whatever reason. And it has all of the different versions of the game. So I hadn't actually played like more so on the Lion King. I haven't played like Game Boy versions and Game Gear versions and all this other stuff. But what it did have was a prototype version of Aladdin. So a version that came out. I think it was one that was shown off on a show floor, like a CES. Or
that's it. Yeah, CES show floor, and it had like an alternative genie level. If that's right,
that's right. And there was just a few little animations. Sometimes things weren't quite there, but it was so exciting to see that. And I remember actually speaking to people that worked on the game, and it was like the first time they'd seen that version of the game since then. So it was really, really quite cool. For me as a retro gaming addict into the history of the games and that sort of thing, it was worth it. It is upsetting that they didn't add the Capcom version of Aladdin, because that does get unfairly beaten down, because the Mega Drive version is, I generally do think it's a better game, but the Aladdin Capcom game is better than Lion King, no matter what version you get. Like, that's a fantastic game still.
I liked Lion King.
So
it's
do
not
I.
that bad.
The Lion King isn't bad at all. It is a little bit bad in certain things, especially like the end levels. But yeah, like the Capcom version of Aladdin is still a fantastic game. Regarding Jungle Book, besides quality graphics and obviously, you know, with lower ports, obviously having slightly less levels and changed up stuff like that, I don't think there's much of a difference depending on what version you get. So they took a step forward with adding that demo in there, but I really wish they just did a tiny bit more where they added in there a little bit more history about the game and that sort of thing. And
yeah, how nice would it have been to play like the storyboarded version of the game with the...
Yeah, or at least just have them in there, interviews of the original developers. I mean, they weren't hard to find. I looked up the person's name, I had to send him an email. He was well up for an interview. I'm like, mate, just record that, get it nicely edited, put it on the Switch disc. That would just be a great little extra. Like, why can't they do that? And as Rainer says, right, in the chat there, the biggest confusion for me about this is I picked this up kind of thinking that this was going to be the first of several Disney classic games, and obviously it looks like it's going to be the case when they add this Jungle Book game in there. But it instantly got my mind thinking, oh, what can they add into future Disney classic games? And the obvious one is your World of Illusion and Castle of Illusion, and
yes.
You've got your Quack Shots and if you want to go down the lower end of the scale, things like your Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid for the Mega Drive. But
yeah, we don't need to go there.
Yeah, Mickey Mania is like one of the greatest games. There is a playable, although no one's got it. I forget his name. Game Hut, the guy who worked on it, showed off Mickey Mania 2, like in its unfinished state. You could get Mickey Mania on a cartridge with that on there as well. Like, that would be amazing. But
yeah, absolutely. I would love like a 9-game collection that collected all of the Illusion titles from 8-bit to 16-bit.
Yeah.
With the Quackshot, Lucky Dime Caper, Deep Duck Trouble, and Power of Illusion. That'd be a great way to round it all off.
That'd be lovely.
You need the Illusion Trilogy is one of the most sadly forgotten series. I know that they had that Castle of Illusion remaster, but really, there's so much being missed out on these days.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know if you can boot people out of chats, but Mr. Skymin Hasbos just said, what about Fantasia? Taking the most classic music, the most incredible music of all time, and then make it dum, 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 dum. And it's like, really? You're doing this to like the world's most incredible music, and the game itself was just so broken. There's a brilliant story behind that, by the way. The reason why that game even got made.
Yeah, isn't that the one that got pulled off shelves because Walt Disney refused to have that work being used?
It wasn't Walt. It was Roy, wasn't it? That was
that's
unhappy
it.
with it. Yeah, his brother. But yeah, that was actually one of the first 4 games I ever got. The Christmas I got my Mega Drive, got 4 games. Fantasia was one of them. Surprisingly, it didn't get much playtime when the other 3 were Sonic 1, Sonic 2, and Streets of Rage. So.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something less appealing about a cartoon mouse versus, you know, some user Koshiro, that's for sure.
Oh yes. But no, I mean, the classic Castle of Illusion games would be brilliant as a compilation. But if it really is going down the route of Aladdin, Lion King, and Jungle Book, it really does make me feel like they're just aiming to get that mum that, oh, my son likes Disney, my daughter likes Disney, I'll buy him that game. Only 25 quid? Yeah, sounds all right.
Oh. Is this any different from the one I bought last year? Oh, sorry, I'll just buy it anyway because I can't remember a thing. Oh, you've already got it? Oh, okay. That's how Christmas will go for anybody receiving these compilations, because chances are they'll receive it twice.
It's a shame. It's a shame. I don't think there's really much else to add on it, but let's hope they get more in there. And add more to different compilations. Pinocchio on the Mega Drive, that's hardcore forgotten about. Great game. I mean, when you put it that if you had that in there as well, it's starting to feel a little bit more like, okay, yeah, I might double dip for this. I mean, I'm gonna double dip anyway because it's me. But
yeah, Well, I mean, you're talking about classic Virgin games, with one of which is Jungle Book, and that's it's a great little title. I mean, certainly not on the same par as Aladdin and what have you, but it was like the first out of those types of games that you got for the Mega Drive, and it really showed off at the time what you could do with animation, and they just took it to a whole new level with the likes of Aladdin. I mean, so this is like the stepping stone to greatness.
And right now, I know this story is maybe close to a week old, but at the moment, there's a lot of people talking about this. And why when they created the Disney Saturday morning compilation, you know, there was classic NES games with like DuckTales.
Oh, the Disney Afternoon.
Sorry, yeah. Like, why were not more people talking about that? Because they're genuinely fantastic platformers. It's mind blowing. It's really, really strange. I just hope that whoever has the rights to be able to, or whoever has the vision of putting these out, because obviously Disney own them, but like, I'm getting this worried feeling that it's that one of those things where they just constantly keep getting, let's get Aladdin and Lion King out on every single thing they possibly can, and it's just like, don't devalue it like that, because these are good games. And it's a bit of a shame if they just they're going to keep re-releasing that same thing over and over. You know, like where I Am 8-Bit was selling the carts for £100 a pop of Aladdin, and I think Lion King as well. I don't like it. I don't like it a bit.
It really strikes me as weird that these are the cheaper franchises, like Aladdin, Lion King, Jungle Book, because that's really what it smacks off, right? Is that the Virgin Games side of it is like super cheap, and then all you have to do is pay the licensing fees just to re-release these things. It's I don't know. It strikes me as weird because there are so many other Disney games, really good ones, like the World of Illusion series, where you could essentially do the same. But is it because Sega owns that partially? It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I have, from what I heard from something else that happens, I'm pretty certain that Disney are able to do that with at least Castle of Illusion. From something that happened that I can't really talk too much about, but I know they have the ability to be able to do it. So unless something's changed over the last few years, we'll see. But anyway, that's enough of that. I'm going to end up spilling the beans too much. Let's move over.
Oh, okay.
Let's move over to really, really.
It's your boy.
It's your boy. Well, just before we went live, guys, we almost didn't add this. Because it's almost like we're just taking the piss out of someone that might not be all there. And you don't want to be that person.
No,
but
definitely not.
What is Soulja Boy doing? Like, again, it doesn't... I can't get my head around his mental state. And I don't get it. I don't understand it. So I'm just going to play the clip, and hopefully you guys will be able to listen in on this, and we'll add it into the actual people that are listening on podcast services. But yeah, check this out.
They signed me to a deal to Atari. Big shout out to Atari, the whole staff. I'm about to revamp the company. We're going to take Atari to the next level. Everybody go follow at Atari. I am now the owner of Atari.
I'll stop it there. I am now the owner of Atari. So he literally believes right there. I mean, do you think he believes that he's the owner of Atari, or is he just that good at marketing, like a troll, to get people in? Because that's what's going on here. So for people that don't realise, I've just jumped into this. But yeah, Soulja Boy has announced on social media that he is the new owner of Atari.
I can see where he would get very excited, because there was a lot of zeros on the particular promotional deal that they were doing. And it would make you believe that, yes, maybe you have a certain, level of influence. So if you don't mind me jumping just a little bit further ahead.
Yeah, go on.
So the reason why Soulja Boy thought that he was the new owner of Atari is because he believed that he bought shares within the company to a tune of a good few hundred, 300,000 millions, in fact, millions and millions of dollars worth of shares.
Was it really that much?
But Yeah, it was millions of dollars, as you can see in the contract that he shows in the second his follow-up video, which is
We
very, very
won't be
funny.
playing that, but yeah.
It's very funny, but we can't show it on screen.
Hardcore swearing right there.
Yeah. In the contract, it actually very clearly states that he's buying Atari tokens, which we've actually brought up a few times before.
Yes.
Are Atari's Bitcoin or cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
So he's bought nothing. Millions and millions of dollars of nothing. Wow.
Yeah, it's really, really bizarre. So yeah, he believes that he's the head of Atari. I do want it to be a troll thing, because if he does believe he's done that, I think he must be at some kind of state where I feel bad taking the mickey out of him, because I think he might be not all there. And I'm trying to be as nice as I can, but like, how can you think you're the owner of Atari?
Chev raises a really good point here. I mean, Soulja Boy has done a lot of questionable things over the past few years. I mean, there was a event where 50 Cent was throwing money around on the floor, and Soulja Boy was seen picking it all up. But in particular, Chev Matic raises a really good point. There is a theory out there that he bought the Atari tokens to try and build their hype to raise the value before he sells them on. And that is a very popular pyramid-style scheme going around at the moment, which we'll go into in some detail later.
Yeah, absolutely. I was about to say, that's very, very close to what we're chatting about in a little bit.
It's good old-fashioned arbitrage, but we can't say whether that's the case for sure here, because let's just face it, this is the same guy that went to AliExpress, picked out a console, claimed it was his new Xbox, and then, but everyone else knows the story from there. It's mad what this guy is doing these days.
Yeah.
And what isn't he doing these days is more worrying, I think. Yeah.
So basically, after we put this out, and the tweet here is obviously of someone recording him actually stating that he believes that he owns Atari, or potentially believes he owns Atari. Atari themselves put out a tweet that we know that the CEO of Atari is a dream job, but that honor belongs to Wade Rosen. Rosen, is actually the kind of CEO of Atari. And when I say kind of, because there's so many little branches off now, who owns what there. But he then went on a bit of a rant afterwards, and he waved his contract on the screen, and someone had actually essentially managed to see what was on that. And in this update from Nintendo Life, great website by the way, the update states as follows: following Atari's denial that Soulja Boy is now in charge of the famous video game brand, the rapper has reacted angrily online with lots of language and lots of bad language and slurs. You've been warned. This is the video we won't be playing about, one I just mentioned about. Claiming that he has a contract which backs up his side of the story. He even brandishes the contract on camera during his expletive-filled rant. However, as is often the case with Soulja Boy, all is not what it seems. One eagle-eyed Twitter user spotted something significant in the contract text. It says that Atari tokens on the contract. He screenshotted, not Atari shares in the company. Atari tokens are their cryptocurrency, like a Bitcoin competitor, so it was a promo deal they wanted to pay with their own crypto, nothing to do with shares or ownership. So yeah, that's where we are literally at with it. It's mental.
Yeah. So I've just reading the transcript of the video that we were just looking at, so it's quite a fun read. So
yeah, I have checked it out myself, but we won't be playing it. It's horrific audio.
I'm more than happy to recite the initial video, definitely not the second one. But this is exactly what he said in the first video. They signed me to a deal at Atari. Big shout out to Atari, the whole staff. I'm about to revamp the company. We going to take Atari to the next level. I am now the owner of Atari. I own the video game company, Atari. They was real proud of me of what I did with the Soulja Boy game console. You know what I'm saying. I blew Soulja Boy game up. We about to sell the company for what was it? 100. I think I'm gonna get $140 million. I'm finally getting 140 million from Soulja Boy game. So Atari reached out and I just signed a deal with Atari. I signed 2 deals with Atari. I'm the owner. The first rapper to own a video game company. We're going to take it to the next level, just like we did with Soulja Boy game. Wow.
There we go.
Let's just have a moment of silence for sanity. Because I think it's all gone.
It has, and yeah, I'm hoping for his sake that he is doing it to rack up the price of the crypto coin that is Atari coin, rather than it being a mental state thing. Because I feel icky talking about this, I really do, because it's so out there. Who would honestly believe it? Soulja Boy, turns out. Should we go on to something a little bit more positive?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, let's celebrate all of the awesome people out there that are taking part in the Sonic Amateur Games Expo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So for people out there that don't know, Sage, as it's called, is a yearly event where Sonic fans, primarily, make fan games and sometimes even original games. And we get to basically see what they do, because they showcase it all like an online expo. And there's quite a few to show off this year. In fact, the list I'm showing on the screen goes on for quite some time. I will actually be this Thursday, so in 2 days' time, as of the recording of this, as I do every Thursday night, streaming, going out on both Slope Extra and on my Twitch channel. I'll be checking out several of these. I've got several of these games myself to be looking at, but if there's anyone out there that wants to suggest any, please do let me know over in Discord or on Twitter at Slopes Game Room, or in the, like I say, on Discord, which is Slopes Game Room as well. I'm very interested to see what games people suggest. I've got several lists here, and I know you've got a few that you like the look of as well.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
Go on. Let's do the big ones. Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit.
Yes, definitely. It's a 2-level demo. They've perfectly recreated what Sonic Triple Trouble was.
Yep, that was a Game Gear game. Yep.
From the Game Gear to the Mega Drive. Mm-hmm. Music-wise, looks amazing. They've done it entirely in the Sonic 3 style. I just love everything about this one. The guy's done an amazing job.
It's super sexy. Really, really nice. I can't get enough of it. I mean, they've talked about this one in the past, as they have with quite a few of these. But yeah, it's 16-bit Triple Trouble. So this is like, what's exciting about this is a lot of the time, without making them sound bad, a lot of these projects are great for what they do, but the level design isn't always there. This is a proper Sega created game, but it's just like say been done in 16 bits, so it's like you're playing a proper classic game, the definitive version potentially. We'll see, but I think we're still quite a way off from seeing the full experience, and I really do hope that happens. A lot of the time these projects just eventually die.
That's the unfortunate side of the Sonic fan game, or any fan game
absolutely
project. But what I really like about this is that it is a hidden gem, Sonic Triple Trouble.
It's a great game,
yeah, really good little game.
So
and
the mechanic of the jump between the two characters, wasn't it, of Sonic and Tails?
Yeah, which is really smart and strangely still something that hasn't been replicated to this day.
Not even as an extra mode, like Sonic Mania gave like different modes, and they didn't even add that. And I was like, so hopefully we get to see it in Sonic Mania 2 when that hopefully one day happens. So there's that one, Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit. That was probably one of the big ones that most people are talking about. I've got another one here I'm going to show off. Probably not one I'm going to play myself, but it's just shows you the extent and what some of these people are doing. Yeah. This is Sonic Rush 3D. So there was a game for the 3DS. Was it?
It was the original DS. Sonic Rush.
Sonic Rush. That's right. So I have played it, but I've not played it since it came out. So I don't remember the levels that brilliantly. It has a great soundtrack. Hideki Naganuma of Jet Set Radio fame created the soundtrack. But yeah, this is basically being remade in 3D. It's a very, very buggy game, if I'm going to be honest, from what I've seen online. But hey, it's exciting that someone's at least doing that. I think that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I love the look of this. I love the style that he's gone for and like the visuals. He's kept it low poly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite interesting because it looks like it's a bit obviously Sonic Adventure-esque, but like it's actually got a bit more of an art style of say Sonic R potentially. It's
yeah, I'd give it that totally.
Yeah, but it looks like it plays like an adventure game. It's quite cool.
I just hope it's got back to back in it.
Yeah, oh, the music I've already heard it does. Yeah. Great
Awesome.
Hideki Naganuma music. So you got that. Another one that we both were quite interested in was Classic Sonic 2 or Sonic Classic 2. One of these two.
Yeah.
Sonic Classic 2, yes. I'll let you chat about this one because I know it's one that you like the look of.
Yeah, so this is like an all original Sonic game. So the person has gone into they probably kept the physics, kept some of the like level tropes, as you can see, like the corkscrew pipe there, but everything else is pretty much from ground up made as their own Sonic game. Like the sprite art, the background art, it just looks really good. And it's a sequel. It's the second hack in the series, and it looks absolutely brilliant. So if you're looking for something that could have been Sonic 4, then this is a good example of what the fans have been doing these days. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely a good one. Definitely one I'm going to be checking out. I'll be doing that one definitely this Thursday. Excited to check that one out. Next one I wanted to show off. One that I think really needs to be played, to be experienced. This one's called Sonic Momentum. So at the moment it's really a very basic world, but it's more the way Sonic controls himself. And for anyone out there that's played, for instance, one of the other classic 2D ones, or not so classic 2D ones, something like Sonic 4, one of the things you pick up on other than the graphics and the bland look of the game is the fact that Sonic himself doesn't exactly feel quite right. This game is based up on momentum. The way you control, the way you run, and the way you smash through things will actually build up a momentum, and the way you just need to get up one hill is actually quite a task. So it's done in a very different way, but it's done purposefully, and it's exciting to see people play around with just how Sonic feels. I don't think it's going to be for me because I'm so ingrained in the classic 16-bit style of the way he controls, but it is exciting to see what people are doing here. And obviously they're using the Sonic Advance sprite work with that one, which underrated trilogy of games in all honesty.
Oh yeah,
definitely,
for sure,
definitely. Another one I've got here because it's not all Sonic.
Yes, it's there's some unique and some games that don't even feel like they should fit, like I don't know, Mario 64.
Exactly. We got Mario 64 Plus. This is version 2.0 that is out. And for people out there that wants to know what this is about, if you've got a copy of Super Mario 64, firstly you might want to sell it because it might go for a bit of money. And this also shows off just like, come on, Nintendo, you could have done a little bit more with that recent Mario collection you put out, the 3D Mario 3D All-Stars game, because this is, like I say, Super Mario 64 Plus version 2.0, and it's basically the original Mario 64 with a lot of extras added in. Obviously, a lot nicer textures, a few other things like that, nicer way that the camera controls, all of that sort of thing. It's just all round. They're trying to make the definitive version of one of the most classic video games of all time, and do it better than what even Nintendo themselves seem to be doing with their very low effort 3D All Stars. It's exciting. Go and check that one out as well. Like I say, it's not all Sonic stuff. It's fans of the Mario community are doing this as well, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Here's one that I am super excited with because I always there's so many incredible Sonic artists out there, and incredible Sonic sprite artists out there as well. Emerald Tiles is a Sonic game that was being showcased here. I'm just going to move forward a bit so you guys can see, but with different artwork to Sonic's sprite work himself, and I just think it looks really slick. Very excited to be trying it out. I just think the way it looks and the way it looks and feels, I think would be actually very exciting. This is one I will definitely be trying on Thursday. Have you seen this one, Grizzly?
Yeah, I've seen this one. The sprite art is just wonderful. I love that people are just still to this day, still tweaking and giving their impression of how they feel Sonic should look. And sometimes that can come off as a joke, and sometimes it looks really earnest, like this version here.
Yeah, it makes
It's
it stand out as
cool.
well. I mean, when every 2 out of 3 games shown, or even 4 out of 5, are Sonic Mania sprites, I suppose by this point, it's quite nice to see someone to mix it up like this. It's pretty cool. It's really, really nice. I've got a few more to show off as well. Here's another one that isn't Sonic related. This is one of their original games that was shown off, called Fetch the Ferret.
Oh yeah, this looks cool.
Yeah, it's just like a good 3D platform with a lot of speed. So obviously it's very influenced by the Sonic games. There's not really much else to say, if I'm honest. But yeah, the way it looks that it controls, looks like it controls very nicely. I don't think there's much else to say on that one. I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it looks fun. I mean, I love that we're seeing a lot more like 3D efforts as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a sort of game that could end up going somewhere and actually getting a physical release eventually, because it looks really, really well done. At the moment, obviously, the worlds are very basic, but I can imagine a luscious jungle-esque world where you're having to run around almost maze-like. It's almost like a 3D Tanglewood, I suppose, actually.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think this one's definitely one to keep an eye on, even if it takes several years before you see it really come to fruition. With the level design and what have you. And the last one I want to show off is another Mario one. This is Super Mario 127, which is a sequel of sorts to an old Flash game. And it's essentially the mechanics of the 3D World game. So it's like the water mechanics from what was the one? Mario Sunshine, and different games like that. And they actually managed to put that into a 2D game. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm just going to send you a couple of links, if I may, because I feel like there's a couple of efforts out there that really deserve a shout out for me.
Nice. Yeah, go for it.
So sent you one.
Yeah, let's have a look. Right. Yes, I remember you talking about this.
That's the second one. So the first one that's coming up. It's a lesser-known title for the Sega Saturn, and it's definitely one that everybody should give a go at some point. But what's really cool about this, you wouldn't look at this and immediately assume Sega Saturn, and that's because, despite that, it is actually a mod for the original Sega Saturn game. They've essentially created like an upscaled remaster for Burning Rangers.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Yeah, this is a classic Sonic Team game, back when Sonic Team were being a bit more experimental with things like Knights, and obviously this for the Sega Saturn, back when it really probably should have been working on a 3D Sonic game for that system.
Yeah.
But this is the sort of stuff they were getting, and we were getting, and it's kind of a I mean, how would you explain it? It's sort of an action adventure game, but you're a firefighter. Futuristic. It's a beautiful game, and unfortunately, because of that system and the impossible ways, it's still so hard to emulate the Saturn. So few people have ever played this. I think it's criminal that Sega themselves haven't put this out on as a download and put this out on some system. I mean, again, because it was on the Sega Saturn, that was probably quite a hard thing to do because of the way the games were coded. But this is hopefully going to be our way of actually being able to get through and finally play this game, because more people need to play it. It's a good game.
Yeah. And what's really telling is that you still need to have an original copy of the game to be able to play this demo. But
how they managed to do that? Enforce that, or they just say you must have an original.
You must have the original.
I see.
Yeah. You know what I mean. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more. Say no more. But what's really telling about the Burning Rangers series? The series game, I guess. Is that it's one of those games that's just been forgotten and left to time, because it's one of those titles that, unfortunately, the master tapes are long gone. So it's not something they can just go back and remaster. They'd have to actually do it from retail code, which is a real shame. Absolutely. I feel like they could do so much with bringing this back, because the biggest handicap that this game ever had was that the console itself didn't sell well, and they had no faith in any of the games releasing anywhere.
Yep.
It'll be great to see this come back, and I really hope Sega are watching and go, oh, we forgot about that one. Let's give this guy the budget he needs to make this a fully fledged product.
That would be nice. That would be nice. It's they have been known to do that, and they've also been known to not do that. So hopefully this is one of those times they do that. Absolutely.
Mike Town says, that's all good. I asked Soulja Boy and he said it'd be fine. He owns Sonic Team.
Man, I love Sonic Team. I always look back at one of their Choo Choo Rocket as well. I adore Choo Choo Rocket. I really hope and pray that Apple Arcade version comes out on Switch. I really do. That was a good game. Yeah. I just haven't got the ability to be able to play it. It's really annoying.
Other people deserve to play that. And lastly, there is another game called Scratchin' Melody, which really stood out to me for its gorgeous animation. It kind of looks like a Flash game, but at the same time, I just loved the general like energy and vibe that you get from it. It's very much like a Parappa the Rapper style game where you have to match like scratches and either compete or harmonize with vocals and scratching and what have you. It looks really fun. It's probably best to go a little bit further in the video where you see a bit more of the animation in play, because this is just the tutorial.
Right. Okay.
So yeah. So I just absolutely love it. Definitely one to keep an eye out for. And of course, the benefit of being at Sage is that all of the games that we've mentioned today, and many, many more, up to 150 plus games, they're all free to play.
Insane. And like I said, I will be checking the load out this Thursday, so if there are any on there that I haven't mentioned or Grizzly hasn't mentioned that you really do think is worthwhile having a look, let us know over in Discord or over on Twitter. There's a couple of other places you want to let me know on Instagram or something, you can. Hopefully we'll be able to check it out this Thursday, and that'll be going live on Slope Extra and over on Twitch as well. So yeah, exciting stuff. Cool. Cheers for that one. That's Sage. Moving over to another game that was recently showed off called Black Myth Wukong. This is 12 minutes of gameplay footage, and oh boy, does it look nice.
Yeah, I have been watching and waiting for this game to come out. So unfortunately, it still looks like it's going to be at least until 2023 till we actually see the game. Mm-hmm. Really, really sad to hear that, to be honest, because it feels like it's been years since I first heard about it.
Oh, yeah.
It looks incredible. Absolutely incredible. And this is from China, and that's significant because China doesn't really do AAA games. China is one of those ecosystems that's built up on the free-to-play model. I mean, pretty much 90% of gamers out there out in China run on free-to-play. They don't do it's not like over here where you buy the game and then that's the game. Mm-hmm. It's all microtransactions. So this really stands out as something special. And just look at it, guys. It's super detailed. It follows the story of Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, and his journey to the west.
Journey to the west, absolutely.
And it looks to be as authentically like Chinese folklore as possible. And that is important to me because I feel like you don't really get the story. You always get like a westernized, translated defined of it. Whereas this, it
moved along quite a way since the old NES days of the Journey to the West games. And
definitely, and Dragon Ball Z, yeah.
Yeah. This looks stunning. It looks absolutely stunning. It's just really every so often you see a gameplay trailer for something that looks like this, and you're like, wow, okay, you need to stop and have a look because it's mind blowing. One of those things 10, 15 years ago, is it really in-game graphics? We're there.
Yeah, and I can fully believe it is here because this is clearly playing on some sort of hardware. You even see the slowdown, which is being caused as it's an alpha footage. But I'll tell you what, that looks insane. It looks as good as any From Software title. Dark Souls, Sekiro, or the other one they do. Even Elden Ring doesn't look as good as this.
Absolutely. And Michael Towns puts it as it looks like a gritty Rafiki.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Has returned.
A
But yeah.
sunbaton, a squash banana.
We're getting back on the Lion King again. No, it looks beautiful. There's really not anything else to say about this except for the fact of, hey guys, have you seen this? Go and check it out. Sorry for everyone that's listening on podcast services, but go and type into YouTube Black Myth Wukong 12 minutes after you've checked out the new Spider-Man trailer, because isn't that exciting?
Yeah,
well exciting.
that's even got octopuses in it.
Oh, amazing. Right, and moving over to our final topic tonight. Oh, yes.
Right.
This is a bit of a deep dive, guys. So you may remember a few weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, what was it? Super Mario Brothers went for 30,000 for the original NES game, a game that sold millions and millions of copies, so it shouldn't anywhere be near that sort of price. It was a sealed copy, in all fairness, but I'm still thinking triple digits at most, you know. Anyway, on top of that, Super Mario 64 recently beat that, and that went for like 2 million or something stupid like that. Absurd money. Again, the most popular game for the N64, maybe behind Mario Kart, but it's up there, and it's stupidly expensive. Everyone that was actually a gamer saw this and was like, really? There's something dodgy going on.
That ain't right, yeah.
And turns out something dodgy was going on there. So talk us through it, Grizzly.
Right, so all the credit goes to Carl Jobst,
Yes.
who is a predominantly speedrun YouTuber, who essentially did a lot of research into this whole market craze of super expensive video games, which happen to be graded by Wata.
So they're the ones that you see, and they give like the 9.6 sealed copy or whatever it may be. Like the plastic covered cases that you always see pop up, and you're like, who is doing that? There's a couple of companies, but Wata is one of them, the main one.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is try and summarize it as best I can in about 4 or 5 sentences, which is very difficult to do. It's an hour-long video. There's a lot of detail in there, and Carl has done an amazing job. I don't know Carl personally. I don't think Slopes does, but it's just it sounds to me like he's hit a slam dunk with his content. But anyway, so he explains very carefully the speculative selling and reselling of products to build hype. The idea is that similar in a fashion to our good friend Mr. Boy from a couple of topics ago. The idea is to build hype around the possibility of something becoming rare and expensive. And in this case, gentlemen, I believe it's Jeff Mayer, who is supposedly this world-class video game collector. It came out of the blue from nowhere a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And his main focus is on collecting video games that have value and sealed condition.
Sealed games, that's right.
So he kind of bought a copy of, I think, Mario for like, the sealed copy of Mario for like a good cheaper price than this, about 30,000. I think it might have been that one that Dan was talking about earlier.
Yes.
You'll have to realize that I'm paraphrasing, so exact details won't exactly be right from me. And then he kind of made this big song and dance about the game and saying, right, the next big thing's going to be video games, and if you're going to sell video games, some of these things are going to be worth millions and millions and what have you. So it was all about building this hype cycle. And then when it came to the likes of Wata, Dennis Khan, who's on the screen as it stands, he kind of incorporated with the likes of Jeff Mayer to build this hype. This is the picture that's painted in the video, that this hype was being generated by both Wata and Jeff Mayer through Dennis Khan. And it all culminated in the high-priced auction that we saw a couple of weeks ago. So we saw, of course, the one that went for $1.5 million, then one that went for $2 million. And what's really telling is that Dennis Khan states that Wata employees were unable to sell Wata-graded titles, because that would be a conflict of interest, right? Because what stops them from being able to influence a higher score for the sake of their own personal gain. There'd be nothing, right? So the idea is that Jeff Mayer, even though he is technically part of Wata Games, he has
Jim
been.
Halperin.
Sorry, say again.
Jim Halperin, isn't it not? Is it not?
I'm stuck on these two names for some reason, so
Right.
feel free to jump in.
Okay,
So
no,
I
it's
feel
fine,
like
it's
I'm
fine.
missing something here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. The idea of the story is right. He was actually a part of Wata Games as well as the auction house.
Yeah. So it was quite funny because part of the video it states that he saw various people who would later be known as employees of Wata Games going to conventions. This was a testimonial from Pat the NES Punk. Going to these shows, buying up these sealed games as if they knew something was coming, and that's basically what we're looking at now. Is the culmination of all of this generated hype being turned into a feeding frenzy of high-priced video games. So, I apologise if I missed quite a few details. I know I have.
You're right. In a nutshell, basically, this these games are going ridiculously high. Like, who's buying these games at that ridiculous price? Because these are not rare games. I have rare games that are not even mine that people have lent me. That is specifically, if you go back and watch my Castlevania complete history, you'll notice that there were a couple of computer versions of the original Castlevania, and if you try and find those particular versions in their box out of seal and all that sort of stuff on auction sites like eBay, and you go actually at the sold listings, they just don't come up because nobody has these games. They were so rare when they came out, and still to this day, like, no one bought those versions of the game. And you want to get them now, you're spending upwards of £500 to £1,000 per version of the game. That is a rare game, as is, all these obvious ones like your stadium events and whatever else. There's quite a few examples. Mario for the NES is the most popular game on the system. It's like eventually someone selling a sealed copy of Wii Sports. It's bonkers. These are these games have come out so much. They're not rare. They're sought after because they're fantastic games. Thankfully, Nintendo let you play them at every possible chance they can, because they re-release them and stick them up full price every 2 minutes. But that's another subject. Regardless, you have plenty of ways to play these games, and these games are everywhere, even if you wanted to get them originally. I have a copy behind me of Mario, because I sold all my NES games when I became a YouTuber, and I bought the original Mario again only 2 years ago. To be fair, it was the one with Duck Hunt, and I definitely didn't spend over a tenner on it. It's bonkers because these games are just everywhere. Like,
it's quite interesting because we see the effects that these conversations from YouTubers or these influential people, what effect it has on the market. I mean, I remember back in the day when AVGN was just starting. Okay, so when AVGN first started, very few people were collecting retro games. You could still go to car boot sales, you could still go to charity shops and find some real hidden gems. As soon as he turned around and said a particular game was rare, you look on eBay and you saw that price shot up.
Yeah.
And it's no different here. It's the same as going on to, I don't know if anybody, here in the UK, we have a newspaper called The Sun. I hate to bring it up because it's an absolute dish rag. In fact, it's not safe enough to clean dishes. But there's usually a section that pops up every year. You can see it, smell it coming a mile off, and that would be, do you know what your games are worth? And it'd be a copy of Pokemon Yellow, or it'd be a Game Boy, and it says this recently showed up on eBay for £1,000, not knowing, of course, how to click the little section that says sold listings, as opposed to buy it nows. And it's all done to drum up publicity. But unfortunately, it influences people. It influences people to put their prices up. And this is no different. Sealed games, high-graded games from Super Mario, for example, like one of the most beloved games of all time. As common as it is a beloved game. I can see how this got this far.
The most exciting thing for me is that it will burst.
Yes.
And that's what I want. I was chatting to someone recently, basically. I'm not going to say names, but I was speaking to a sponsor quite recently who's actually a big fan of the channel, hence why he's come to me directly. And we just chatted for several hours about retro gaming on a big chat. And he was he asked the question, like, what do you reckon your games are worth? And I'm like, you know what? I don't know what I've got that's super rare. I mean, I think some games here are worth a couple triple digits potentially, but I don't know because I'm not interested. I don't want to spend that money on games. Therefore, I'm not looking to see what these retro games are worth. I don't know what I've got in my collection that is worth that because I just don't look it up. And we actually came to the conclusion, and I found out he's a big fan of Hotline Miami. And I was like, oh yeah, I've got like the Switch collector's set of that because I'm a big fan of that series as well. The Switch collector's set of that, and I also picked up at CES, I believe, only 2 years ago. They were selling these big Gamer Edition boxes. This is the one where I met you, Grizzly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's at EGX.
EGX, sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
I was at EGX, one where I met you. At like the merch booth, they were selling this Gamer Edition, the PC version of Hotline Miami for $5. And I was like, well, that's an amazing set to get for $5. I'll get it. And it's one of those things that, I bought, and I actually to this day I haven't played, but I like to have it. And he didn't know it existed. He looked it up, and it's going for over £100 now.
Oh, crazy.
It's mental. That's 2 years.
Wow. I mean, I remember getting my copy of Knuckles Chaotix. I thought £90. The £90 that I spent on it was very expensive.
Yeah.
But about 5 years ago. I'm looking at it right now, and the equal condition copy, £310.
It's
and it's just rising.
I bought that. I tell you what, I bought that for £15 back in the day, like 15 years ago, maybe, or something like that. And I was trying to make some money because I was going full time with YouTube, all that sort of stuff. I was selling all my old games, and I sold it for about £90, maybe to you. I sold it for about £90, and then I think it was like that weekend, Sonic Mania was announced, and it went for like 500. I was like, ooh, ouch to me. Yeah, there we go. I mean, the only reason I ever sold my games collection for people that are interested is because I was, like I say, going full time with YouTube, and I wanted to make that transition as clean as possible, and I just wanted to get out a few debts, and I was like, I'm going to make it like that, and that's why I was selling the games. But regardless, back to this. So it's you hear this mental story of a game selling for 30,000, and then a game that same game ended up going for 1.5 million, and then eventually it going for 2 million. It's stupid. When you look into it, you realise that the person that's actually buying the 30,000 to then eventually sell for 1,500 is the same person, and that same person is associated with Wata Games, the people that are grading these games. And grading, what does that even mean? It means nothing. And it even explains in the video when you send back that same copy without touching it back to the same company, you might get a slightly different grade. This grading system is bull crap. It doesn't mean anything.
It's entirely subjective,
and it's a way to be able to boost up the value of that game, because if you go from a 9.6 to a 9.8, you're talking, if it's a classic game, not necessarily rare, but if it's a classic game, a well-known game like a Mario or a Sonic or a I don't know, like a Streets of Rage or a Grand Theft Auto or something that's significant, as opposed to Granada for the Mega Drive that no one would know, it tends to go for more. It's not about how rare the game is, it's about how popular the character is for whatever reason, the people that are buying these games, and it's the same person buying and selling to be able to boost up the price himself. And an example given by this same person is he would have a lot of comic books, and every few years after buying one, he would put that comic book back into auction and end up buying it back to just keep inflating the price of his own collection. It's insane how it all works, and it's now moved into the world of video games. It's funny, and it's so obvious to people that are into retro gaming, even slightly, as to what at the very base level, what games are going for that stupid amount of money? Because these are not rare games; these are the most common games out there. For the most part, from my memory, the rare games were the ones that were actually normally the crap games because no one ever bought them in the first place because they're crap, and they're at the end of a particular system's lifespan, or they end up getting taken off a shelf because they were under some kind of legal issue, like the Tetris game for the Mega Drive, the Japanese version of that. That makes sense why they go for stupid money. This does not. And then when you look into it, you realise, it's because he's buying and selling his own collection to boost up the popularity of those games to idiots that don't understand it. And I tell you what, I actually got contacted by a sponsor. It's one that's mentioned in this video, actually. I don't know if it's the same particular sponsor, but it's the same type of thing that they do. And the idea is, instead of you're actually buying shares into a particular game rather than owning Mario, you would own 1% of it or 2% of this particular auction that's gone for stupid money, hoping that in the future, now it's going for more money, I can sell that share in that video game of Mario for the NES for more. I showed them a video that I said, I can add it to this, and they were not interested to be part of the video, I think because I was actually explaining how common certain games were, and I think that's the reason they backed out, and that was before all of this blew up. So it's quite, but when watching through this documentary, I was like, I recognise that company. I remember when they reached out to me, or whether it was them particularly or a company like that reached out to me. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's quite a story, hell of a story. And it's just, I don't think it's the end anytime soon, because they're clearly still going with that $2 million copy of Mario Brothers sold on a different auction site.
I honestly don't know. It might burst like soon. I don't know.
It's certainly not sustainable, but I don't think we've seen the last of it for now.
Right.
Because
all my knowledge on this sort of thing comes from videos like this, if I'm honest. I just know that. Well, I'm hoping it isn't just retro gamers that would see this video. I'm hoping it's actually investors and people that are interested in investing and putting their money into particular companies without actually knowing anything about that particular company, that look into this, because I think it's massively eye-opening. And he actually compares it to one of the earliest times this has ever happened, when people were buying and selling tulip flowers, and then obviously it happens in the art world a hell of a lot. Comic books as well. Yeah, exactly. And coins was another one in the 70s and 80s, I believe. Because there's grading companies for coins as well, and it's all just happening here. It's disgusting. And I don't know about you. Go on.
I think we're in the wrong business, Dan.
Definitely, if you want to make money. But like I said, I remember even like Alpha Omega Sin. When people chat to him about, I know he's not uploaded forever, but I do remember him specifically saying, like, when people were talking to him about video games, like the price of the games that he has, he's like, I don't care. I pray for a day that every single game that I have behind me is worth $1 each. Like, I don't want them to be stupid expensive. Like, and it makes sense. Yeah, I don't want them to be silly expensive, because I want to keep buying and collecting the games that I like, and I want more people to be able to have access to them. I don't want to live in a world where Sonic 1 for the Mega Drive sealed is going to go for thousands. That's bonkers to me. So why would I want to live in that world? It's ridiculous.
We should buy a game as a community and use it for a charity, says Go King.
Absolutely.
Now that's a nice thing to suggest, but no.
I do have a shoot myself in the foot here, but I do have a sealed copy of Knights behind me.
Oh,
there you go.
It's there because you go. That's 200,000 right there.
Yeah, that's it. Let's pay off the mortgage, darling. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. By the way, the only reason I have it is because I bought it on this ridiculously cheap auction. I don't know if it was spelt wrong or whatever, but no one was putting. You know, when you put bids down on things, I'm never going to win. I did win, and it come with the controller. And I used the controller, the 3D controller for the Saturn, but the game is the American version, and I can't play that. So I was like, oh, there you go. I won't open it. Job done. So yeah, I've got a sealed game, but the actual controller's been opened. Which probably
I have a sealed copy of Jet Set Radio.
Oh, do you want to do a swap? Oh,
Actually, yes.
that's awesome. I love Jet Set Radio. So much. You know what? I got a I've only got the bathtub of it here. I got a Jet Set Radio tub today. Tubs.
Wow.
Sorry. Yeah, tubs. The duck things. That's awesome. But anyway, guys, I think we've reached the end of the podcast. I think that's pretty good roundup of topics there. I liked it.
Yeah, eclectic mix.
Absolutely.
Let's do it again sometime.
I think we should. Should we do it next Thursday?
Maybe not Thursday. I'm thinking Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday, because I got the dates wrong. Thursday's the day I stream. Sorry. Stream video games. So yeah, thank you all so much, everyone. Thank you to everyone listening live on Slope Extra and on Twitch as well. Appreciate all you guys hanging out. I really enjoyed it. And to all of you people listening on all of the podcast services around there, please do give us a review. It really does help us, as I say in the beginning of the video, spread our wings and get into the earlobes of podcast goers around the world. There you go. I've put my my phone voice on when I do the promo bits. There we go. I think that's the end. Bye, everyone.
Roll outro.
Oh, yeah, the outro. I've got that, haven't I? I better do that. Here we go. Why is everyone waiting for me? It's the outro. Here it is.
Let's try it again. Goodbye, everyone.
I've touched it. Thanks for listening to Slopescast, the retro gaming news show with myself, DJ Slope, and my co-host, Grizzly Crichton, recorded live on Twitch every single Tuesday night. If you want to listen in live, then make your way over to twitch.tv/Slopes Game Room at 9 PM UK time, 1 PM Pacific Standard Time, and 4 PM Eastern Standard Time. And as stated, if you want to be in a chance to be on a future episode, then please do consider supporting the show on Patreon or as a YouTube member. And finally, if you do have any news stories for us, then please do feel free to drop them in the dedicated rooms over on Discord at discord.gg/Slopes Game Room. And until next time, guys, this is DJ Slope signing out, and hopefully I'll see you all next time.